so we can see
Wait,
the
what do
front of
you
it.
have?
So this is my energy drink, my V8 energy drink. You got the Trader
Oh,
Joe's lemon. Is that good? I haven't bought
I
that one.
okay, so I'm specific and I'm not a big fan of stuff like this, but I bought it for Anna. And I surprisingly, she doesn't like it and I like it. So we're always have been opposite. It's so pretty
I'll
and
try it.
it's
How many carbs are in
summery.
that? How many carbs?
Oh, the calories are 90 and the
I don't
carbs
care
are
about
only
calories. I
3.
kill. How many carbs?
All right, people, you're gonna see my readers. Hold on. I need eyes. I need eyes.
Sorry.
The carbs are the carbs are 22 grams.
Oh
Sugars are
yeah,
19.
I can't.
Um,
Not with 22 carbs. That takes up way too many carbs for the day. See, I can't do that. This one has 12 carbs, and that's a lot for
mm,
me. This is a lot for
see,
me with 12.
I'm a
I think we're
water
only supposed to
drinker.
have like, I got to look at how many carbs we're supposed to have per day at this age, which I'm not going to state. Let's just say it's over
Oh,
40.
we're beautiful. We're 29 with some anniversaries.
35 for life. I'm okay with, I would be 35. I loved 35. I feel like 35, you're professional, like you're taken seriously, you've been in your
Mhm.
thing. I mean, I started life over 35. I wasn't even in real estate yet at 35. But yeah, I think 35 is a great age. I felt good too.
I gotta tell you, I did like 35.
35
Where
is
I was
good.
mentally and where like the take charge attitude. I miss a
Yeah.
take charge because when I got into mortgages and I was in it when I was younger, dipped out. I was in landlord tenant for 15 years. So it's a huge chunk of my background is landlord tenant. And then came back into the industry. I was so take charge and I soaked everything up. And when I say I soaked it all up, I loved helping people. So I came from the background of evictions. I was always the mean guy. I basically had to tell everybody to go beep off with a smile and a victim. Like the worst eviction was Christmas, right before
Oh,
Christmas. The
that's
dad
sad.
did it. I know it was
That's
it
tough.
was such oh, it was really tough. And
I don't know if I
having
could do
to
that. I mean, I can be tough, but that would be
no,
super hard.
it
That's
takes a
special
special like
person.
thickness of skin to get through that one. But in
Oh
all
man.
honesty, it really came down to it was actually he did it. It wasn't us. We gave opportunities, but now being in the lending side, what I love about mortgages and the lending side is freeing people up and telling them how to get to that point of home ownership and retirement. You and I
Yeah.
always talk about retirement. So being able to be like this awesome, positive, I've just taken it and I ran with it. So that was at 35 and I really did like it.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to what you were saying, being in
So
real estate at 35 was huge.
yeah. And then, so today, I mean, we've been really talking a lot about, I think the buzz is like, what's going on in real estate? What's going on across the country? What's going on with house pricing? What's going on with the rate? And it's been like kind of like a knockdown, drag out, like professionally, but with the whole like rate and where the rate's at and the jobs report and the big fight has been, even Trump is pushing it and saying like, "Hey, it's time to, lower that
It's time.
rate." And Powell's like, "No, I'm not going to do it because you got these tariffs and they haven't truly hit yet." And they're like, "Yes, but inflation's down and the jobs report is where, it should be calling for a rate." So I think they had all those big meetings and everything coming out is basically saying like in September, they're lowering the rate like at least a quarter, maybe a half point, early
And
September.
when they say that, for everybody watching, that's not regarding mortgage rates. That is in whole. We're tied to the 10-year bond. So we have to keep an eye on that. So when you say a half a percent, for the people listening, that's not tied to mortgages. We're only going to be decreasing in a very healthy way. We don't, or you're not going to hear the drop like 2020. It's not going to
Right.
happen. But decreasing in a healthy way, it's huge. So when Holly and I discussed this, if you don't mind me taking over, we were discussing what that looks like, that decrease. does that decrease actually mean you're gonna stop looking for a house? You're gonna wait for a decrease? What does that look like? So her and I were talking. We want to run some numbers by you. But before I do, I think what would be important to hear is about what you think about the fall market, Holly, what
Yeah.
that looks like moving forward, and then maybe tie in what the difference of payment would be in a fall market and what that decline looks like.
I love that. And good morning, Dory and Gordon. Thanks for joining us. If you're coming on, please say hi. We love to interact. We might be in the middle
Yes.
of a thought, but we will respond. We want to finish our thought because then we're like little squirrels and we forget what we were talking about. But the whole point of this is to have some interaction. That's why we go live. So I love that, Cece. And I want to start by saying this one thing because I've mentioned this in the past. I just saw the new stat and I still have to verify it, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been put out there. Good morning, Wade. It wouldn't have been put out there if it wasn't accurate. The new stat for sellers who are working with agents versus sellers who are, we call them FISBO, for sale by owner. Sellers who work with an agent. Now, let me preface that by saying a good agent who knows the market, who knows how to price a home, and who knows how to market your home. Okay. 15% sellers working with a realtor are getting 15% more than sellers who try to do it on their own. And that's because we're in a market, and this is going to segue right into your question. We are in a balancing market where it's shifting, and if you don't know and understand that, you're going to be left behind, meaning your house won't be priced properly. You won't know how to market it. You won't know how to vet buyers because right now it's challenging. I've talked to other real estate agents. We're having crazy buyers, deals are falling out. And even when you do the best that you possibly can, it's like all out, like Wild West out there. If you're not
It
connected
is.
to an agent, I don't know how you would be able to do it on your own because even the best of the best, we're having issues, right? And we know what we're doing. 15% higher sellers are making than they are if they don't use an agent. And that's because just because you get an offer at a certain price and you're happy with it doesn't mean you're closing there. So your question was, where's the fall market going? If we do see this rate drop, and I do understand what you're saying, it is connected to the
Decline.
bond
Decline.
decline.
Use decline. Yes.
Please, I'm going to use decline. But here's the
Yeah.
thing, if they don't actually translate to the mortgage rate, then they're not doing what Trump's asking because Trump is making it really clear that the mortgage rate needs to come down because home affordability, all of the things which I know we're going to get into. So for the fall market, we are seeing an increase in inventory. So I'm here in Michigan. CC and I are here in Michigan. We're also licensed in Florida. Florida's a different market. We're not going to hit on Florida right now. It's totally different than what we're talking about. But here in Michigan, we are really balancing. We're still seeing our average MLS price point is up 6.7%. July numbers from last July. So we are seeing an increase in our average price point, the average sale. So we're not seeing any negative growth. We're not seeing even, no change. We're still seeing an increase in price point. We're seeing a little bit more days on market because buyers are getting really picky, but we're also seeing more inventory. So, what's interesting to me, usually we see a big flood of inventory like May. Or in the spring market, definitely by May. But here we are going into August, and we're starting to see an influx of more inventory, which is great because that tells me people feel more confident, they're feeling more secure, and they definitely still here in Michigan would like to get sold before the winter months come. So I'm predicting for us a really successful fall season, especially if that rate is swayed and comes down a bit. It's going to continue to help buyers with affordability. It's going to help sellers feel more confident that they will be able to find a home to purchase so they feel good about listing. I think it's going to be a great market. And I think any agent who is really working right now is going to find a successful season. And I think sellers and buyers alike are also going to find some success because it's balancing out. Still a seller's market. We're not in a buyer's market. We only have 2.4 months of inventory, which is definitely a seller's market.
Yeah,
Even
we
if
we
that
still
opens up
need.
to three. If it opens to three, we're a full balanced market. And they say 6 months is a buyer's market. I don't agree. I think when you get to 4.5, 5, you're getting really, you're in a buyer's market. That's my perspective. But could be different places in the country, but the rule of thumb is 6 months is a buyer's market. That's why Florida is 12 months, a full year of inventory in the coastal cities, and a lot of, like, Orlando, a lot of the cities in Florida, they are definitely in a buyer's market, which is totally different than where we're at here in Michigan.
Yeah, and I agree because quite a few agents that I work with, I actually had some pretty good conversations the last couple days regarding where they see the fall market coming into. And they did mention that. So, kinda give you an idea of who's of everybody listening, they're, called pocket listings that
Mhm.
real estate agents are talking to clients, are about to list their house, they're about to go under contract, they're a day or day of, day after, before now, correct me if I'm wrong, an real estate agent has how many days to get up on the MLS after going under contract? Is it 5? 6?
Okay, so I should know this.
Okay, it's right
I want
around
to say
there.
you probably have. I thought you had a week. I just learned
Yeah.
that that was a thing. Do you
Yes.
know that I
Well,
didn't even
because you're so
realize
quick.
that? I just,
Because
yeah,
you're
I
so
just get it
quick.
up, but
You just do it.
I get
I
it
know.
because my people typically come to me and they're like, "We got to do it. We got to do it now," and I'm
Yeah.
like that girl. But yeah, there is a
Yeah.
number, and I don't know what it is.
No, it's like it's
It's a
5,
week
6,
or
or
less,
7.
though. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not more than a
it's
week.
not long, but I know you're on top of it. So some of these agents, so in this little pocket of time, we call it pocket listings, and there's more coming in that they're grabbing. And I received over the weekend at least 3 text messages from realtors I work with saying, "Hey, I just got a listing in the Auburn Hills. Do you have a client before I list?" That's huge. Like
It
there
is.
that's what's powerful about working with a real estate agent because you have that little window. Is it fair? Of course it's going to go live. Of course negotiations are going to happen, but our clients that we work with, we have that ability to get them in the door and go, okay, here's a house. Do you like it? Do you not? And kind of go from there. So I think that's really going to help out this fall market is when you work with a real estate agent who works for a big company. And I want to make sure that and stress that I'm not, it's okay if you work for a little brokerage, totally fine. But if you're talking about working with an EXP agent like Holly or someone who is a bigger brokerage, the pocket listings are a little more broader and you have
Oh,
that
for sure.
opportunity. And
Yeah.
so I think with the fall market, with that pocket listings and things popping off, just like what you're saying, how you see the inventory growing, this is going to be huge for buyers to like
Mhm.
swoop in because there's a
Yes.
special niche where families already need to be settled due to school. So
Right.
that we're kind of weeding some families out. Now we're not talking about relocation, divorce, things happen in life. I'm just talking about the the average person who's scrolling on those apps that we don't like to say out loud because you should be really working with an
Because they're
agent
terrible and they
and
give
they're
you
not
false
accurate at all.
information.
I know.
And I
I
want to
know.
say really quickly hi to Gracie and to Mama Stroso. So this is a good question. What do you think of Austin, Texas? Thinking of moving there? So I have never been
Oh,
to Austin, Texas, but one of my closest friends lives there. She absolutely loves it, and two other people that are friends moved there. And what I would say is I can send me a message. I will find you the right agent there because you're going to want to have an agent that really knows the pockets there and the communities. That's the most important thing. So, all of my information you can see below. My phone number is there. Reach out to me and just say, hey, I need to know X, Y, and Z, and I'm happy to find agent for you in that
but
area.
it's a very diverse area, which is nice. So when you say pockets, there's you really have to go fly in and really probably take a week and really get to know the areas and the new bubble you want to create.
Yeah.
Have you thought about flying into Austin, Texas and just checking it out would be great.
Thank you, Gracie. I'm sure you look beautiful too, even though I can't see you. You have a beautiful soul, that's for sure. Um, I love our people. So yeah, I that's Cece, you're exactly right. And I just did this. So I just did this with people that were in from Boston. They are relocating from Boston. They're choosing between Grosse Pointe. They only want Grosse Pointe if they move here or Chicago.
Mm.
So and there's the parents and then their kids, which their kids are not like kids, but they're
Wait, Growth Point. Or
Or
Chicago?
Chicago, yeah, and they're coming from
Ah,
Boston. So I showed the
okay.
parents like 4 houses last week, and I showed them how 4 houses yesterday, and then today they're on their way to Chicago, and they have an agent out there that's going to show them, and so they're gonna get back with me, about what they decide because they can live wherever they want. But I think it's very interesting that we are on the map in Michigan. People are coming because we are doing some really cool things, and we don't have natural disasters really. We could have a tornado anywhere, but we really don't have. We do have the 4 seasons. We do have cold. We do have the gray days. That's kind of the negative, but we're not. You know, there's no volcanoes erupting. I've been seeing volcanoes lately. We won't even go there. No volcanoes, no tsunamis, no hurricanes. So yeah, we're in a good place. But anyways, I know we want to get into. CC has prepared for us different price points and what the payments will look like at those different price points and with the rate potentially changing. So I think if you want to go into some of those numbers, that really helps people understand why would I wait? Like, yes, you could save some money, but I want to preface it by saying CC is going to give you how payments will change. But keep in mind, when there's more competition, you have to offer more on the house too. So we are going to basically tell you, if you see the house you want, get it, refinance down the road, and just don't have to compete and pay upwards and come out of pocket on a house. So I'll kind of like preface that with you getting into like, because it's a just because that rate does change, people are wired to think that's when they should buy. But there's other things that come into
And
play.
and that's what we discussed last week, and I think having this conversation not think, I know, having this conversation is huge. Having this conversation with just somebody sitting at a restaurant, having a conversation with someone in very plain situations where they are when I talk to them about what I do, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, mortgages, I do the funding. This is what I do. I love helping people with their budget." Yes, I give them the money. I tell them how much that they can spend. So I'm more like a mother hen. I like to kind of buffer, 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 and kind of keep it on straight and narrow. Like, here's your budget, but if you really want to live, what does this look like for you? And I kind of really narrow it down per client and what their goals are because everybody has vastly different goals. And I think it's so important to have that goal situated, have it written down, and have that as a roadmap moving forward. So, talking about moving forward with the fall season coming up, working with an agent that you like, trust, and believe in, then you have someone like me that comes in and goes, okay, here's your budget. Here's a low end. I mean, you can always go low, but the kind of house that they really want versus the high end. So a couple of our clients recently are in the 500, 700 mark. And so that's where I would like to focus more on is discussing that kind of conversation of, well, the rates. Well, the rates. That's what I hear in normal day conversation. Okay, where are the rates at? I hate that conversation, but I like the conversation. I like to educate the fact that the rate just doesn't mean make all or be all. Let's not do that. Let's not put your future into a percentage. Let's stop, get that out of your head because with those numbers, it's just a number. We can always refinance. If this is the house, if this is what makes your goals work, if you have to relocate, if you want a better school, if you want an additional bedroom, you're having another child, you have your mother-in-law moving in, is $100 a month or less going to make or break that deal? So when you put actual numbers behind it, not a percentage, but the actual payment, that's what's going to make the big difference and kind of it opens up their eyes. So I'll tell you a quick story and then I'll go into the numbers. I was actually sitting the other day at a restaurant. And of course, the bartender, we start talking. They're like, "Oh, I can't buy a house. I have to wait for the rates to drop." Like, okay, well, they're not going to drop, they're going to decrease. Tell me about this. What kind of house do you want? He tells me what kind of house he wants. I'm like, okay, so while we're discussing this, here's the price point, here's the rates right now. You're going to wait. So let's say it's 6.5 and you want it to be 6.1, or if it's 6.875 and you really want it at 6.375, What is that payment difference? He's like, I don't know. I just don't want to rate at this amount. Like, okay, fair, fair. And I pulled out because I don't do math very well. I do math fantastic, but I can't do mortgage math that quick. So I wrote it all down. I'm like, so you're telling me, and it was a $50 difference for him. Actually, it was 52.25, I believe. Like, so for $55.25, you're not going to buy a house? The look on his face, Holly, stunned, stunned. He's like, "Oh, I can afford that." I'm like, "Okay, so you're stuck on this rate." He's like, "But that's all I've ever been taught." I'm like, "Who taught
Right.
you this?" Well, I hear it, like, in the news. Okay, so the news has taught you to look at the rate, not what that monthly payment is, and that's what's crucial, that monthly payment, and when I do my pre-approvals, having that monthly payment, coming up with that future goal is the biggest part. So I just wanted to say all that, kinda give that background, and tell you, someone who I just opened up their eyes, for $55.25 or $52.25, that just stopped you from buying a house? You can clearly afford it. He's like, "Yeah, I can. I could pick up another shift." I'm like, "There you go. Is that gonna ruin your life for the house that you want?" So, just to pull up some numbers, we'll start at, because I know he was looking at that 550 mark up in, up in the Crystal Mountain area. So, he's up in there, and his goal is to buy, like, on the property where you can, like, ski into his property.
Nice.
I Each their own. That would not be me. I'm not gonna be skiing. How do you do it?
I'm not a skier.
Into a home. I know.
I did it when I was
Pizza,
younger. I don't want the cold anymore. I am cold
pizza
does not do it
fries.
for me. Cold does not do
Yeah.
it for me.
I I've
You keep
lived
your
I
ice
lived my
skates, you can
life.
keep your snowmobiles, you can keep your skis, you can keep it all. I'm all about the beach, the warm,
Yes.
the boats. I'll ski on a
Yeah.
boat. I'll water ski,
So,
but don't be
when
asking me to ski.
now I did ask him about his credit. He was about a 750. So I based everything off of 750, 780, just to kind of give you an idea of when I was running these numbers. So when I ran the numbers, and to use him as an example to that ski up lodge, and that's where he wants to live. So at 550, the payment difference. So at 6.5, that payment is 34.76.
How much is he putting down? This is a 550
I'm talking about
purchase
loan
price.
amount. Loan
Okay,
amount.
so $550,000 loan amount. So we don't
Thank
know what he's
you.
putting down. Okay, perfect.
No. So I kept it nice and clean. How
Okay,
much do you want to take out as a mortgage? So having a
okay.
mortgage, which means if he puts 20% down, 10% down, it's his first home. So he can put as little as 3% down if he wants. I don't advise that sometimes. If he can put more down, great, but there is that threshold. So the difference
Are
between,
these with PMI or no PMI? Like that's what I'm
nope, this
wondering.
is
Is
just principal and interest
okay,
only.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm just only doing principal and interest. There's no taxes. We're not forecasting anybody's taxes, homeowners insurance, or mortgage insurance. But
Okay.
as a loan amount of 550,
Hmm.
the payment difference, are you ready for this? It is only $45 between
And that's what were the two rates? Okay, 6.5.
6.5 and 6.375. So when you
Wow.
take that next dip down, so that's where I'm saying, okay, here you go. The next dip down is another, and you just keep dipping down. So let's
Right.
say if you're waiting for that 6.1, then do that math, drop it down. Are you really not going to buy your house for $100 difference a month?
Right.
And if you can't, that's okay to say too. If it's a no, stay on target, stay in there. Then that means we're at your high end of your pre-approval amount. So we got to be careful about that. If you can't afford that
Sure.
100, you're too high in your debt to income
Right.
and that pre-approval. Let's knock it down a little bit so you have that wiggle room for when you find that home. But think about it. A $45 difference between 6.5 and 6.375 because you're waiting for a drop that's not going to happen. We're going to decline, and I'm happy we're going to decline. So in a year, when it gets down to 5.99, you already have your home. We refinance. Then how much money are you saving next year?
Let me
Now,
interject really quick. So you're
yes,
saying $45 a month. That's 510 a year? I don't know. Is what's 45 times 12? I don't know. It's a little over, let's say a little over $500 for a year. And you wait, and everybody else, or even 50% of the
starts
people
putting more
wait.
money down on a home.
Now you're in competition. And I can promise you, at a 550 loan amount, so we're looking at almost maybe a 600, maybe a $600,000 price point, 575 to 600 ish. You're going to see people offering potentially 5 to 10% more. So if someone offers even 10,000 more in a purchase price, now you've got to come up at least $10,000. Think about that. If you've got to offer more to beat someone else on the house of your dreams, you've got to go up, let's say 10,000. And I'm being conservative when I say 10,000. Even if it was only 5,000, you're going to
Look at
do
the
that.
difference.
Yeah, if you're going to do that instead of pay over $500 for a whole year to then refinance when the rate. So the numbers, like it's mind-boggling that the numbers,
And
people don't understand numbers, but they will if you explain it to them. That's why I hope today, if you're on here and you're seeing this later or you're on now, share this with a friend who's one of those people that doesn't think they should buy right now or is going to wait, or anyone that's considering buying, because we'd love to really show those numbers on paper, because it just doesn't make sense. Yes, of course, your rate would, if the rate is lower, your payment's lower, but you have to remember the competition out there, the other buyers. We are still under what we need in houses for everyone to have one. We need more homes right now. We are still like millions of homes across the country. I think the last count was over 5 million homes under what we need for everybody entering the market, because we've got people entering the market as a first time home buyer. That's a big group of people. A lot of these younger millennials are all entering the market. They're not giving us a house. They're just taking a house. So if everybody's taking a house and nobody gives a house, we got an issue. We don't have enough people giving a house and not taking a house to balance that out. So now you've got competition. That's going to be your biggest
yes,
cost, not the rate. It's the competition you're going up against.
and
That is the number you have to watch.
it's the house that you want. If this is the area you want, the school district, or it's near your favorite gym, or this makes sense for your life, let's really have that conversation. It's important to say and not fall into that trap of interest rates,
Right.
because as you brought up, does that include mortgage insurance? Every bank has a different mortgage insurance. I actually got beat by a rate, which it happens. I mean, everybody can beat someone else's rate. There's another company in there that's going to beat you down the road. You're going to have to call 20 companies. It's happened. It's okay. I am very competitive, thankfully super competitive when it comes to rates. But when I quoted a rate and my rate was higher, the client was so hooked on that rate. I'm like, wait a minute, send me over the numbers. Their mortgage insurance was $100 more than mine, which changes the
Wow.
payment. So, yes, they had a lower rate, but now they flipped it over where their mortgage insurance was higher. So, really, they were paying a whole $20 more than they would have mine.
People need to learn the word
So,
net. Like net when you're selling is what you're actually getting. And net, what are you actually saving on a mortgage when you're working with the, what are you saving? What is your actual payment going to be? Not so much, just like you said, one line item. Take a look at the whole thing, because
the whole picture.
some of these companies have extra fees that you don't have. They may say the
Mhm.
rate is lower, but they're charging all these fees on the front end that you don't know about and you don't know to ask about. So that's why I like that you do a whole cash to close. And a lot of these companies refuse to do that for people. Well, just quote a rate because they don't want you to see the cash to close. They don't want you to see all those line items of what they're charging, because you're going to end up potentially paying more, which is
Mhm.
pretty dirty, but it is what it is. And that's why we have to educate people. And you have to talk with someone who's going to educate you and give you real numbers instead of just spitting a rate at you.
Yes, and when looking at that whole picture and looking at that financial forecast for your life, again, have that conversation with me. Go from there. So now let's take this up just a little bit. Let's say that that gentleman's loan amount was 700,000, principal and interest only. So depending on what kind of house, how much they want to put down, that payment difference, yes, because it's a higher loan amount, will have a higher of a gap. But typically, when you're making income that can afford a $700,000 income, that $110 isn't going to be make it or break it, especially if you budget correctly. So going from 6.5 to 6.375 is not that big of a jump. That's actually going out one night. I just went out on Sunday night to Sephora. Our meal was like $100, then plus tip. So you don't go out one night if it's really getting close to it.
What was the difference between those two, did you say? Between the
Oh, it was
6.5 and the 6.378
okay.
for the
So
$700,000 loan?
for the $700,000 loan, let me pull that back up. So that payment is for the 6.375. Now, of course, this is kind of based on that 780 credit score. So
Right.
please keep
Because
that in mind
keep in
that
mind that you get a better rate when your score is higher. So the first thing you want to do is get your credit score as high as you can. And if you need help with that, talk to Cece because she'll give you pointers taking a look at your credit report and how you can do that. Because that's the number one thing you can be doing right now for yourself to get yourself prepared to be a buyer that gets the best rate.
correct, correct. So we can go down a little bit lower. So between the 6.5 and the 6.378, you're looking at about a $54 difference. But
That's
if you're
crazy.
I
That's
know.
not a
Then
lot.
if you start taking it down to that 6.1, here we are into that 100-ish area. You can do that, but that's with that decline.
Hmm.
Why is that going to make or break the deal? Purchase a house, depending on where the money comes in, stick at that 6.5, and then in a year refinance at that 5.99. Because that 5.99, let's see where that goes to.
Because they're talking about what I read, what I saw is that, potentially the rate going down either a quarter or a 0.5% in September, and then four more subsequent um, um, rate decreases through the end of the year. And we don't know what those will be, but we do know that they are at least talking about it starting to decline, which is what we want. So
Yeah,
by the
and
end of the year, you may want to wait because here's the thing, maybe they drop it. If they did do a decline of a quarter or even a half, if they're going to do four more, it's still smart to watch with your professional person, like your loan officer to say, well, do I refinance now or should I wait until they fully have gone through the whole decline sequence? Because it might make sense to wait until the end of the year anyways, right? Because you don't want to refi twice. So
well,
that's why it
you
just makes sense to
won't.
do it
Yeah,
now.
as long as it decreases, I wouldn't be worried about doing it twice because it costs money to refinance.
Right. That's my point. You
You
want to
you just
wait
need to
until
make
it's,
sure.
yeah, till it's time to
Correct.
do it.
So from the same scenario, 6.5 to 6.1, it's a $232 difference.
Is that the $700
Yep,
loan? Okay.
$700,000 loan amount. So
700,000.
that's dropping. So do you want to wait? And then there you go. You're you're sitting here. Let's bring up your scenario. Let's times that by 12, and that's 2785. But if you wait and that house increases and
Yeah.
there's a bidding war of 10,000 because
More than
the homes
2785 or 2725, whatever you just said. It's going to be more than that.
exactly.
It's going to
So the
definitely be more than
difference
that.
of that, is it worth it? It may be, it may not be, but my point here is not to tell you what's right or wrong. Neither is right or wrong. It's what is in your budget, what you can afford, and to just start thinking a little bit outside the box so you're not hooked on that rate. Let's look at payment. Let's look at what your goals are going to be. Because if your goal was to get into that property, let's say 700,000, 550, whatever it may be, you already see that you have a small margin. It's
Hmm.
500 to 2,700. It is that really worth it? Not for me, if that gets me into a good school district for my daughter, or that keeps me in my bubble, or whatever that means, that that money is something I've already saved for,
Right.
or I've talked to somebody. to get to that point. I would do it for me.
Absolutely. And I like the idea of speaking to the professionals, because here's the thing. If someone comes to me and says that what their plan is, if the one of the first things I'm going to ask them, because they're going to say, is this a good investment? Like, let's say they have to, let's say we're in a multiple offer situation, they have to go over. Well, one thing I'm going to do is run comps to tell them if I think it's going to appraise, right? Because that's that
Yes.
conversation we have to have. Because if you
And
have to
you
go
protect them
over,
that way.
well, but you sometimes you have to do an appraisal guarantee. So I want them to at least know if they're going to be paying that money or not. And here's the big question though. How long are you going to be in this property? If they're going to be in this house for 10 years, or that's at least their goal, that makes me feel more confident for them than if they're like,
Mhm.
well, maybe 3 years. 3 years makes me a little concerned, because in 3 years, if you are going to try and turn around and sell, we've got to make at least 8% for you to cover real estate costs and agent costs, and just break even. So that's another point that needs to be discussed, is what are your finances now and how long are you going to be in this home? Because what how you structure things, the loan product that you're looking at. So we typically tell people, FHA, yes, the rate may be a little lower, but you're paying that PMI for the life of the loan. If we know that you're not going to be in the house more than 5 years, then CC can run those numbers and tell you if it's worth it to go with that rate. Are you saving, but you're paying PMI?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to get a conventional and you'd pay PMI anyways, because you can't do 20%, then maybe, that's the best way to go. Of course, there's other things with FHA, but we won't get into all of those. But these are important questions. It's not a one size fits all. We really have to sit down and discuss what your goals are, what you're looking to do,
Correct.
how long you're going to be there before we can structure everything the correct way.
Exactly. So there's bringing that up opens up a whole can of worms. And I love this because it's that conversation where one, what does this look like, and how you protect them with that, being able to see if this house is worth it or not worth it. And it also comes down to the conversation. And I about 80% of my clients are VA. I
Hmm.
love my active and retired military families. I work with them a lot, and there's times where they take advantage of that 0% down, which is fantastic. But I have to have that hard conversation with a lot of them going, okay, how soon are you going to move? Are you active or are you retired? If they're active, are you gonna be restationed? What does this look like?
Hmm.
And because when you go, you purchase a home, how many years do you think it takes, depending on the average house? 3 to 5 years to get to that 8%? That's huge. If you're gonna get restationed or move for a company, let's say you work for GM and you know that you're gonna be moved to another state, what does that look like? And how can we make this work? Because Holly, we've had clients that will get that appraisal come in, and that appraisal, even though we don't tell the listing agent, comes in higher. It's a
Yes.
great day. We've had
Yes.
one. I I would love to know the one that we had the highest. I mean, have we had one that was like 15,000 over? We've had a couple high ones in our past.
Probably. I mean, it's like it's hard for me to remember all of them, but yeah. And that's the beautiful part of it,
The
is
negotiations
you
and
already
how
have
you do
equity.
it.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
equity already in that home. I know, we had the one we just had, it was a lower price point, but they have equity right away. So it's
yeah.
exciting. It's really exciting to know that you got a great opportunity where your house appraised under. Again, that's the market we're in right now though. I wouldn't say that when that rate does start to decline, we may be in that same market. Right now, that's the other thing. I'm glad you pointed that out, is that you have the opportunity. If a home's been listed for over a week, now it becomes, how low can I go in my offer? Because it's been sitting there. Clearly, no one's scooped it up yet. And now you're looking at, how can I get the best opportunity, go lower, and then have, yes, that appraisal that comes back, and you actually have equity in the home. So that's the positive we can offer for buyers, because if you, in a few years, let's say, would like to do a home equity line of credit, well, you already know that that you're ahead of the game there, and it becomes it becomes an option for you down the road. Whereas if
Mhm.
you are just right there, just barely appraising, or you had to go over and pay a little over the appraisal, you're going to be waiting a little bit longer before you have that equity. And we love, one of the best opportunities you have is to have equity in your home. It's an asset. It's one of the only assets that you can basically borrow from, if you will, the equity, and use it for things if you have to. Big life experiences like, oh my gosh, there's a hospital bill. Oh my goodness, I have to
Mhm.
redo the bathroom. Or, you let your house work for you. So when you make a good financial decision, it's going to pay you down the road potentially. Now, I'm not saying grab all the money out of your house, but it's just an asset that you can use and works for you. And it's just smart. It's just a smart decision. So getting in now, having some equity, getting in a little, maybe even under the list price, having some equity, paying a little bit more in the rate, waiting until the end of the year and refinancing is a brilliant and really
Yeah.
smart plan.
Is a pizza night or a nice Italian restaurant night going to stop you from living life? And that's what this comes down to, and that's how you and I started this conversation. Is a pizza night really going to do that? It's not. It honestly isn't, but we're conditioned now. We hear on other platforms, the news, the radio, people talking that don't know what they're discussing, and like, "Oh, I got this interest rate." Like, that's the flex. That is not the flex. The flex is, what is your goal?
Yes.
That's the flex, that you got your goal, not the interest rate. I'd rather hear you have not a 2.5 or 3.5 or 4.1 interest rate. That's not your goal anymore. That did not help your goal where you are at now. You're stuck in a house because you're flexing on that 2.5. And I get it. That payment's nice. I get it. I had the
Sure.
same payment. I had the
Yeah.
same payment. I get it. But now are you stuck? Are you stuck?
Yeah, you can't move.
In
And,
it,
and
and
if you
it's
want to
not.
move, you're not moving. You're just going to stay
I
in that house
know.
regardless of, oh, I'm relocate. I can't relocate because it's too far and I don't want to leave the house. And, if life takes you in a different direction and you're sitting there
Just
going, well, now I can't. And you see maybe the place that you'd like to go and you could afford to go, but
mhm,
you're looking at just the rate. It's like, okay, I understand that finances are so important, but we only get one
they
life
are.
here, and we would like to see you responsibly live your life and get to do what you want to do and go where you want to go.
And
You
to
know?
write down that budget, that
Yeah.
goal, and seeing what that life is going to look like, that's important because there are gonna be trade-offs. There may be something. I had a client who recently okay, so not recently, it did. We closed, hallelujah. It closed about a month ago, and this was he met his now wife, I wanna say 30 years ago. They had a child, and then they went their separate ways. They were never married. They had a child, they stayed friends, and now they're back together, and they've been together for quite a while, and they bought their first house together. Even though they already have a
Nice.
child, they had a life together, they now actually got to buy their dream home. But in order to buy this dream home, they came to me, we're looking at their budget. It's like, "Okay, you can afford this, and then you can afford this." And he's like, "I want this house." And he sent it to me, and it was Holly, it was out of budget. It was out of budget
They
for
normally
sure.
are.
I'm like, "Mr. Client,
Those
this
pie
is
in the sky,
really
those
not in your
caviar
budget."
dreams. Yeah.
But this is what I did. I'm like, "Hold on one moment, because I don't like the word no. Let's figure this out."
Nobody
So I
likes the
went
word no.
nobody likes no, and I don't wanna say no, especially because this is like a love story. I
You
love
want them to
it.
get
It
their
was
dream home.
Yes, and it's for the grandbabies because they have grandbaby days. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. But what ended up happening is I stopped. I didn't say no like a lot of banks do. "No, you can't
Mhm.
afford this. It's over." I listened to what he said. I listened to her heart of what she wanted. So I went back to their credit report and I actually went through and I said, "If you pay this, 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 and this off, we can afford this house. Do
I
you
love
have
it.
the assets to pay this off to free up that monthly payment?" They're like, "Give us a night." I'm like, "Okay, take your time." That's what happened. They paid off those 4 things, and they got the house of their dreams. So
I love
now they're debt free. They don't have a car note because that truck notes are pretty expensive. No
Sure.
more truck note, and they, like, cleaned up in a very adult manner because they could,
Hmm.
and now they have the house of their dreams because of the payment, not the interest rate.
Right.
They just went, and that's what you flex on, that goal, that life. Go, wow, I made this happen. That's the flex, not interest rate. So I just, if we circle back to the beginning of this conversation, please no, don't flex that. Just see what your goal is. And if your goal is to live very minimally, I love that too. Then rate really counts, and shrinking your bills and paying stuff off and living that lifestyle. Sell the house, buy an RV, and go. I don't know. Don't do
There's a lot of
that.
people doing that. I
They
would love
do
to
do
get
that.
I would love to talk to someone because then they don't have real estate taxes, they don't have real estate payment, they just have that RV payment, and they are
Mhm.
just setting up shop wherever they want to go. Funny story. So, yes, I have that dating app. I don't know why it's useless, but it's just funny to me. Actually, it's kind of entertaining. I don't pay for it, it's free. But anyways, like so 3 today, I was just scrolling through the people, this person likes you. And like 2 or 3 of them, that's what they're doing. They are, they're like, hey, if you like adventure and if you like to, travel, I live in my RV. And I'm reading this, right? And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I would keep my house because there's no way I want to live in an RV all the time. But it sounds cool. I would 100% love to tour and do, some fun, especially if it's cold here, go and just see other
South.
parts of the country. I can totally see
Mhm.
myself doing that. I mean, I don't want to live in an RV forever and I have too much stuff. We need to, I have stuff. Like there's nowhere to put stuff in an RV. But
You would have to do a major purge. Holly, I don't know if I could see you.
no, I'm
I
not
would
doing
have to
it.
come over. It would probably take a year for us to purge
There's
through
no
your
way I'm doing that.
house.
There's no way. We'd have to have the RV trailing a trailer of just my stuff. Do they do that? Can you even do
What?
that?
You
I
actually
don't know if you
can.
can do it. We'd have
You
to do
can.
it because I would, anyways, but I think I
Mhm.
understand that. And I think it's a really cool opportunity for people who are in between. In fact, the clients that I was showing, the ones that I was talking to you about with either Grosse Pointe or Chicago, the parents, they're our parents' age. That's what they did. They lived in San Diego. They sold everything.
Oh, we lost Holly. So, I know she's about to finish that story of selling stuff. Oh, there you are.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, so the RV, so they've been doing Airbnbs, and that's what they've been doing for like the past, I don't know if it's a year, but they've been living in different areas, Airbnbs. They did some RVing, I think. So, you know what I mean? Like if you're retired, why not? And now they're going to end up either in Grosse Pointe or Chicago. I'll keep you posted on what they decide. I hope they pick here.
So
I think they'll be happy here.
to have that lifestyle, again, it comes back to that conversation of what my goals are. If you're young and that's your goal to retire and do that, fantastic. You have a house now. Let's use that house as leverage. Make sure you do it right. You can make extra payments. You can take out the equity line if you get an RV and then utilize that, get set up, then sell the house. Or but again, it comes down to that conversation of goals. It comes to that conversation of, okay, pizza dinner or an Italian dinner going to make or break this deal if this is going to set me up for where I want to be in 5 years
Yes.
or in 10 years. Because if I was 35, like how we started discussing 35 in real estate, I
We love
loved being 35.
35. I want
I
to be
did like
35
35 in
again.
real estate. I
Oh,
did.
to
I
be
did.
35. Oh, such a good age.
It's if I said to myself, "Okay, I wanna buy a house now." My daughter graduates in 2026, but I had those 10 years to pay down a home, do it right, and that's my goal, then I could sell it, already have enough equity, but I could position myself to say, "I wanna be crazy and I wanna go live in an RV," or "I wanna have an RV that trailers a Jeep," or "I want an RV that can trailer whatever." For you, you would need a trailer of stuff, but I would like a home
Another
base,
RV.
right? You're gonna have a personal driver behind you, like, "Holly, I have all your skincare with me, your skincare
Yes.
method. By
Yes.
the way," really quick, I don't wanna switch, but I have been using it, and I can already feel, like, this Korean skincare, amazing. Just
It is.
little drop. I love it. And
No, it's
you're
a
looking
big drop, and I'm going to convention next month. It's like my second business that I absolutely am obsessed with. Yeah,
I
and that's the
love it.
other
And it's
thing,
so
like,
smooth.
it's insanely amazing. Yeah, no
Yes.
Botox, ladies. Don't inject yourself with that poison that
I
does break the
know.
brain barrier. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely loving it too. It's a
But you have a
huge
goal.
blessing.
Look at you. You have that's your passion. You're working towards it.
Mhm.
So to wrap up this conversation, where the fall market's going, let's utilize real estate as a tool to get to where you want to be in the
Yes.
future. Take care of what you want to
Yes.
take care of now. You want to be again in close to your gym, your work, a good school district for the kids. If you have kids, what you want, favorite groomer. I don't care,
Walkability.
whatever,
Just want a
anything.
downtown area that's close to
Use
walkability.
Exactly. Use this as a vessel to get to your next plan, your
Mhm.
5-year plan, your 10-year plan. What is on that plan board or that vision board that you have that you potentially may want to do one day? I know we're laughing about RVs and doing this, but really, if that's the goal in 10 years, let's utilize that and call Holly, find a house now, negotiate. If you can get that equity, how fantastic would that be? Make
Yes.
extra payments and get there. But that's where her and I work together. I'm always here to discuss numbers, show you the big difference of that payment, what that looks like. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, the math is the whole point of this is that it's math. It's
Mhm.
always going to
And it
be
doesn't
how the
lie.
numbers work. Math doesn't lie,
Mm-mm.
and we joke about girl math, but you want real math to show you what your goal looks like on paper and what you're saving or what you're not saving by waiting, not waiting. Like, look at what you're doing, see it on paper like you did for the bartender at the restaurant. You probably did it on a napkin and you're like, this is what you're upset about.
I did.
$45. $45 a month, dude. I mean, he's a bartender. He probably makes $45 an hour in tips.
Oh,
Seriously.
there
So $45
they
a
make good
month is
money.
nothing. So that's
Mhm.
the thing. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. If you take nothing away from today, take away the fact that you are closer than you think to having what you want, and don't listen to the big, sensationalist. It might be the news, it might be people that are writing articles, people who are trying to get your attention on social media. They're trying to create a following. Don't go for the sensationalist headlines. Talk to somebody who understands it and knows it. Tell them what you want. Tell us what you want. Again, we know agents and loan officers everywhere. We can refer you if we're not licensed. We're licensed in Michigan and Florida. Anywhere else, come to me or CC and we will find someone for you in the area. Like someone was asking about Austin, Texas. I will find you the best agent in Austin, Texas. I promise. I'm a really good matchmaker like that. But you
Oh,
need
and
to
I have
know
a
your
good loan
numbers.
officer, and I know a really good loan officer over there too, so
Yeah, we've got connections. We've been doing this a
mhm.
long time. And the whole goal is it's the money that you keep. It's that net, when you're a seller, what are you getting what's that bottom line? What are you keeping? Same thing for a buyer. What are you spending every month, but what are you keeping? What is staying with you and what are you actually paying out to get, like what Cece's talking about, your dream home? If it's an extra $45 a month, until the end of the year when you can refinance or sooner, like, is that really gonna hold you back?
And I did not wanna dive into this, and I really don't because I know we have to wrap this up, but you can also buy down the interest rate.
Yes.
There's different programs that we could go into, and there's buy down programs that we could look into where
Mhm.
it would be beneficial as long as you're staying in a long amount of time in the home. That's a whole nother conversation, but just ask the questions.
Yes.
It's not very black and white. There's a lot of gray, and it comes down to, again, the flex is going to be your goal in life, not the rate.
And
Talk to
just
me
really
about it.
quickly to piggyback on that, and then you're absolutely right, we'll let everybody go. But with that buy down, you can ask for a concession from the seller that can be used to help with that. So
Mhm.
if it's a situation where the house has been on the market, you can ask for a concession instead of just, let's say you want to 5,000 less than the purchase price. Why don't we ask for 5,000 or even 3,500 in concessions which would net the seller the same, not more or less. It's pretty, it's not exact, but there's math there. But it's the seller's still getting less. 5,000 in a payment, you and I already know is not much, but a concession where you get to keep that money and hold it back, or do what you just said and buy that rate down, that can change everything for you. And that's a whole nother conversation. Talk to Cece about it. We're happy to go through it. But there are ways to, the whole point we're trying to get across is there's ways to structure this. You just have to have the right person on your team who knows what they're doing
That listens, that listens.
and understands things and
Yes.
has been in the business for
Yeah,
more than 10 seconds. Yeah.
maybe, just a
Yeah.
little,
I would
and who
say more
actually
than a
like their
year.
job.
Yeah, this market's different. Agents that are getting in that are newer agents, and I have nothing negative about newer agents. We all started somewhere. But if they're not getting properly trained, I warn against that because, again, there's so much to know in this industry. And I still learn things every day. I've been in this industry over 10 years. There's always growth, there's always room to learn. And I love that about our industry. You don't get bored. But there are some really important things that you don't know when you get in. And if you don't have somebody holding your hand and helping you, could really hurt clients.
Mhm.
So just be aware of that. And not to say take away from anyone's business, but make sure you're working with someone who understands real estate and knows how to help. And listen to CCNI. You can go back and watch a lot of them. Start taking notes and writing down questions of things you want to ask the agent, the loan officer that you think you want to work with. Make sure they can answer those questions. And if you need help with those questions, reach out. We'll help you with that as well because you want to be
Oh,
partnered up properly.
absolutely.
You got to be
And
partnered up well.
if they give you numbers and you're not clear about what it all means and you get a really weird feeling from that individual, I'm okay looking at those numbers just to make sure that you're taken care of. Even though
Yes,
I'm not able to work within that state itself, I'm happy to make sure you're protected.
absolutely. It's huge. It's really
Mhm.
huge. And I'm happy to help you find an agent if you need one out of state that you don't know the area. I do it all the time actually. And I get referrals all the time, which is awesome. And I always appreciate that. So with that, cheers again. Brought to you by the V8 Energy and the Trader Joe lemonade
I
tea. Is it lemonade
know.
tea?
I no,
That's
it's
what's
just
running
lemonade.
us today.
It's sparkling lemonade. Well, I don't drink this. I'm a
It sounds
water
good.
person. Look, my water container is never too
I know.
full.
I still have my
So
water,
I
but
try
this
something
was,
new.
yeah, I love my energy drinks too. And this one is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you that like heart palpitation. It doesn't have, because I know some of those other brands, I was
Mm,
drinking them and I was getting those heart. So don't use those. Don't use any of those other ones. I will say
be
this one,
careful.
try it. Yeah, they should pay me right now. V8 owes me. Brand deal, hashtag brand deal. But yeah, everybody have an amazing day. Cece and I are always here to answer questions. Feel free to scroll through the information. You'll get my contact info. Reach out to me. I'll give you Cece's. And we're happy to answer any questions that you have or just drop them below. Comments, you can't DM on YouTube. I don't understand why they took that away. So the DMs are basically the comments. We will watch the comments. We're happy to have those conversations and get with you on whatever your questions are, whatever you're looking to do. We love real estate and mortgage. We like math.
I do. I know I'm a
You like
dork.
math more than I do,
I
but
do.
I'll
I
do it.
try to make it sexy just a little.
A
It's
sexy math.
hard, but trying. When it aligns with goals, it becomes sexy.
Exactly, because you're getting what you want. And don't we
I
all want
know.
to get what we want?
I
Get one life to
love
live. One life to live.
l
Figure out how to fund properly so that you can get where you want to go. It is
yeah,
possible. It's closer than you think. All right, guys, have
yes.
a great week. We will see you back always Tuesday at 10 live here on YouTube. Everyone have a blessed week.